So in this video, I'm going to be talking about half marathon training for beginners. If you are a beginner and you are focused on running either training for your first half marathon, or you've run a few half marathons and you're focusing on a specific time and trying to improve on your current best, the best piece of advice I can give you is definitely to be patient. We hear that a lot, quite a bit, but it's so incredibly important to be patient when it comes to uh, getting faster over the 13.1 mile distance. You got to be patient with obviously knowing that results aren't going to come in a week or two. It's also tough at times when you want to get through. You want to start hitting those repeat workouts, repeat reps on the track at a specific split, specific times within the first couple weeks, and it just doesn't come that quick. I've had to obviously be extremely patient over the years trying to train for the half marathon and the marathon distance. And I can tell you from, personally, I've been running for 27 years, and the half marathon distance is one of my absolute favorites out of all the different race distances. My personal best is 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 6 seconds. I ran that a few years ago now, 2007 at the Philadelphia Half Marathon Distance Classic, now called the Rock and Roll Half Marathon in Philadelphia. But if I had to give any specific advice regarding uh, for beginners, is just to really focus on gradually over time building up the amount of mileage that you're running each week. Uh, Obviously, the more advanced you get, the more serious the training gets, the more specific type of workouts you have to do in order to run faster over the distance. I don't know what your personal goal is. If it's a specific time you want to run, whether it be maybe an hour and 40 minutes, or you want to break 2 hours for the half marathon, or maybe you want to break 3 hours. This is totally new to you. You've never ran 13.1 miles before. A great first goal is to start the race and to be able to finish those 13 miles. So, as you do it more and more, and you compete longer over however many more months, years ahead, you're obviously going to get faster over the distance. But you get faster over the distance by one, being patient, letting your body adapt to the training that you're placing it under. The body takes about 21 days or 3 weeks to adapt to any stress load that you place on it. So when it comes to running a half marathon, what you want to do is you want to, without getting too technical about it, your body only has about 1,700 to 1,800 calories of carbohydrates stored. Uh, what we want to do to run faster for the half marathon distance is to conserve carbohydrate and use fat, because our bodies obviously have a lot more fat stores than carbohydrate. And a lot of the big reason why so many runners, including myself, over the years, my big goal I had was to break an hour and 5 minutes. I never quite got to that yet, but it's really, it comes down to, are you able to sustain the pace for a long period of time and minimize the slowdown as much as you can? And you can only teach the body to burn fat at faster paces by running faster in training. You can't really conserve carbohydrate or teach the body to do that by just running easy every single day. And for you being a beginner, half marathon training for beginners, this is a video basically for somebody that's just starting out. My best advice is just to focus on gradually extending the amount of mileage that you're running each week, and then gradually over weeks lengthen the amount of time that you're running and the distance that you're running for your long run. It might be your first week, it may be 3 or 4 miles. What you want to do is get it out to about, between 8 and 15 miles. If you can get a little bit further than you're wanting to race, it's going to make running 13.1 miles a lot easier for you. Obviously, there's a lot of other components of running a half marathon. You want to focus on doing track workouts and doing hill reps. Even if you found a hill nearby you that's anywhere from like 400 to 1,600 meters in distance, you can focus on gradually running up it at a, first starting off just a real light jog going up, then moderately, uh, increase your pace as you're going up, and then like the last 50 meters to 100 meters of the hill, just all out, goes all out, and then just walk back down for recovery. So it's those types of workouts, doing um, repeat miles on the track. Again, I don't know what your specific goal is. If it is a time goal, like say for example, you want to break 2 hours for the half marathon. This is just an example. You want to, that's 9 minutes and 9 seconds per mile, or 5 minutes and 41 seconds per kilometer for the 13.1 mile or 21.1 kilometers. So you have to hit those consistent splits for the entire duration of the race. So that's what you want to do. You want to, if this is the first time you've ever run a half marathon, I would first start off by just trying to get to the finish line. Focus on getting through the mileage, getting through each mile, and taking it 1 mile at a time. And don't think so much about how far you have to run. If anything, focus on getting in a group, getting in a good group of runners, and just kind of using their energy and using that group dynamic of getting in the race and kind of just getting immersed in it. And the miles and the kilometers will just fly by. I mean, it really helps out a lot when you're running with other runners. So, just again, be very, very patient. Allow your body to adapt to the workouts that you're putting in. Half marathon training for beginners, obviously, there's strength training. You can focus on strength training. If for whatever reason you're injured and you can't run as many miles, I would focus on doing pool running, getting in the deep end of the pool and just running, just focus on form as you're running in the deep end too. That takes off all the stress off your ligaments and tendons, and will allow you to at least mimic land running. Nothing will obviously be the same as running on land, but if for whatever reason you're injured in any way, definitely get in the pool. That's a great workout. Take off the any undue stress on your ligaments and tendons, things like that. But if you are healthy, just again, focus on building up your mileage over, I would, between 12 and a 16-week block of training, no longer than 20 weeks. And just focus on gradually lengthening out how many miles you're running each week. And then as you get stronger, focus on running, again, focus on quality over quantity. It's not how many miles you're running each week that's going to make you successful in the marathon. It's what you're doing. It's what percentage of your weekly mileage are you training at or below the pace you want to race at for the distance. So, even if you're a brand new for the distance, every runner has, some goal in mind, whether it be just to finish the half marathon, if that might be your goal, or if you have a time goal in mind. Like I said, either sub 2 hours, sub 3 hours, an hour and 30 minutes, hour and 40 minutes. These times vary, but the more it's like anything else with running. The more you do it, the more consistent you'll become. Just a word of caution, it is hard. It's going to be hard. The first few weeks, it's going to be very difficult. You may question your ability. You may question if long distance running is for you. I stress again the importance of patience. It's so important to be patient with running. Running more than anything. I think with any other sport, I think all sports you obviously got to have a level of patience. But marathoning, half marathon distance and up, the longer you try to run, the longer you try to race, the more patience is involved. So, and I can just tell you from my background too. I mean, I've had ups and downs and ebbs and flows through training and racing, and when runners hear that, at least on the site that I'm a 2:19 marathoner, they think, man, that guy, there is a process that's involved to run fast. And I had a lot of bad races too, just like any other runner. But you've got to be patient. You got to have a strong will and focus, and you have to have a strong why. What is it that you want to do with this half marathon distance? Whether you're a beginner or you're an advanced level athlete, we all have goals. We all have reasons that we're wanting to compete in this distance. It's a fantastic race. I think 13.1 miles or 21.1 kilometers is the perfect distance. Obviously, the longer you go out, the more variables that are involved with running a great race. But a half marathon is just the perfect distance where uh, you can really run a great race, and it really teaches you a lot about um, your ability to maintain pace, your mental toughness. It's a great race, so I commend you for wanting to get out there and do it. Whether this is going to be your first race or you've run a few half marathons and you're wanting some specific advice to run faster, I really, if you've run a few half marathons, I really want to emphasize focusing on your long run. I teach this in the sub 3 hour marathon pro course that I created on the site, and also the sub 4 hour marathon mastery course. Um, Either of those courses, depending on where you're at right now as a beginner half marathoner, uh, touch on the importance of one, hydration, focusing on how much caloric intake you're taking in the race. Make sure you're drinking in the race. Do not sip. Do not take the equivalent of a Dixie cup or two Dixie cups worth of fluid for the entire race. That's a no-go. That will definitely not help you run a great, or not help you just to finish a half marathon. You really want to make sure you're taking in proper fluids and hydration and proper calories in the race. 2, you want to definitely focus on your long run. Again, regardless whether you're a total beginner or you're an elite athlete, we all have specific pace goals or these ideas of what we want to run the half marathon distance in. So whatever that pace is, whether it's 11-minute mile pace, it's 8-minute mile pace, it's 540 kilometer pace, whatever. Focus on training at that pace or below that pace. Get used to feeling what it feels like to run faster than you're wanting to run for the entire distance. So just a few tips. If you like the video, leave me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment. Definitely leave me a comment. Let me know what is your biggest concern about the half marathon, or what has given you issues with the distance in the past few attempts that you've tried. Has it been a hydration issue? Has it been a mentality, some kind of mental block that you're having in the race? I'd really like to know that and see what specific issues you're having, so I can really touch on those in future videos. So hope you have a great evening, great afternoon, great morning, wherever you are in the world, and I'll talk to you on the next video.